So Victor, thank you very much indeed for joining us to talk about the ever fascinating topic of leadership.
Thank you very much, Martin. It's a pleasure to be here.
So my first question, what for you are some of the most important attributes that make a great leader?
I think in terms of leadership skills, it's important to highlight the communication that goes in the workplace. It doesn't matter if you're in the hospitality industry or if you're in any other sector. I think it's important when you are a leader that you know how to communicate with your team. Communication also comes with empathy, so you need to be able to show empathy and show your emotions to your team, because that way you will create this kind of connection with your team members. Delegation and decision-making are very key attributes as well. You need to know what you want, what direction the company wants to take, and what you as a person want to achieve within the role and with your team.
So it's fair to say that the world we live in today is definitely a more emotionally open world than perhaps it was several generations ago, 30, 40 years ago. And of course, it's also a much more connected world through things like social media. So how do you think all of those factors are influencing the role of a leader today?
Interesting question, Martin. Thank you. I would say that, going back to the topic that we were talking about before, emotions play a big role in this, because as a leader, you are actually showcasing your own life to your employers, to your boss, whomever it might be. You're giving them a glimpse into what you are like on text, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, you will be on Facebook, you're portraying your personal atmosphere as well. So you're really creating an emotion with your team, which also at the point of low power distance. So low power distance in a workplace where there is no big transition between the leader and the employee. Everyone's opinion is valued, everyone's views are taken into consideration. I think it's important to then highlight the concept of low power distance, because low power distance means that there is not that big of wiggle room from the management to the employee. Everyone's opinions are being valued and taken into consideration. So I think a key element of this new modern age where we are showing our emotions, we're being vulnerable, we are showing what we want through Facebook, through Instagram, through all the social media types. I think that comes from this openness and being with your colleagues in another space that isn't the work or the office. Then again, I think you could also talk about the fact that it's becoming more and more remote, the workplace. You no longer have to fly to the US to do a sales meeting. You can do it online. This is also maybe taking away some of the leadership skills needed, because you can just gather your team in the matter of minutes and brief them on what you want. It might improve their efficiency and the team's overall experience, but the personal connection that you make with your team might be different as it's not occurring in person.
So let's turn a little bit to yourself, Victor, and perhaps give us some insights into sort of what you've learned about leadership through your senior ambassador role at Glion.
Senior ambassadorship has been amazing for me because I have had the opportunity to develop my skills. I came into the ambassador program in my semester 1, aiming for a career in hospitality as a leader, but I came in with a lot of insecurities. I didn't know how to publicly speak correctly, how to communicate correctly, all these things that are attributes we talked about earlier. So being an ambassador gave me that first step into public speaking, into being part of a team, teamwork, organization. Then 2 semesters ago, I moved into the position as senior ambassador, and that position has really opened a door into trying to manage a team for the first time. So what do the team require from you, but also what do you need to give to your team in order for them to accept the feedback that you give, because a key thing about being a leader is giving your team feedback. And as senior ambassador, obviously you're working with first-timers into the industry. They haven't been working in the corporate life before, so they might have insecurities, the same ones I had back in the day. So for me, senior ambassadorship has really developed my communication skills, as we touch upon, time management skills, because we are doing a Bachelor of Business after all, so you need to be able to gamble both of them and succeed in both roles. And then I think it's important to highlight that it has given me a structure in life. So my daily life is more structured than it was in the beginning. I have to have an outline of my day. If I don't have an outline, then I won't be able to complete a day successfully.
And so, as you mentioned, you're a bachelor student, you've done 2 internships. Now, we can all read about leadership in books and the theories and all the rest of it. But obviously through that, you'll have seen leadership up close and personal and actually seen people leading, one-to-one. So what did you observe about the practicalities of leadership through those experiences? What are the sort of interesting things you observed during that time?
It's quite interesting, Martin, this question, because I did my first internship in Rescue, which was a hotel in Italy. Then my second internship I did with Rosewood Hotel Group, who are here today on campus. I did it with them in their corporate office in Amsterdam. But before that, I had worked in food and beverage in Copenhagen, where I'm from. These three leadership experiences vary a lot. You can see how cultures really impact the way that people work, how the structure is, how they communicate, what their daily tasks are. I think that varies a lot. So what I've experienced from these three experiences is that I like, as we talked about before, the low power distance lifestyle in the workplace. So the fact that the boss creates this kind of atmosphere in the workplace where you feel welcomed, where you feel like you're a team, you're part of team effort, I think that is something that builds a strong team. And I've even, throughout my experiences, had guests who came up and said, we can feel that you're an actual team, and that the team are communicating together. They're not only co-workers, but they're friends. And when you're friends in the workplace, then you also have the ability to improve yourself and improve the team's performance. Then again, also saying that this also has its downside, because you have to be able to show that kind of respect to who's the manager. The manager needs to be able to make the decisions that we talked about before. So a mix of the hierarchical way of working in the workplace, where you have a boss that communicates to the employees below, and this open atmosphere where everyone is equal in a way, and where you are free to voice your concerns and also your observations about how the company is running.
So I assume that, like a lot of the students that are here at Glion, you ultimately aspire to a leadership career. And if that's the case, what sort of leader do you aspire to be?
I aspire to be a leader who embraces everyone in the workplace, someone who can show emotions, who can create this contact with the employee. However, I also want to be someone who's focusing on optimizing the performance of the team. After all, when you're working in hospitality, you have to make sure your guests are satisfied and your shareholders are satisfied and your employees are satisfied. If there's a weakness in one of these links, it's not going to work out for you, or you are going to have some troubles within the team. Obviously, you have to streamline everything to the best of your abilities, but it's not possible all the time. So being being a leader who can make decisions based on what is happening right now and what we have experienced before, that's the kind of leader I aspire to be.
Thank you very much for your insights, Victor, and of course, the very best of luck in your leadership career.
Thank you very much, Martin. Pleasure to be here.